markets move on-chain, TradFi and crypto markets are converging on Canton, the world's biggest institutions, highest quality assets, and on-chain innovators already here. The first public blockchain network with privacy. Every 2 weeks, we'll showcase the applications and use cases shaping the future of finance. The ecosystem is growing, new markets are forming, and this is just the beginning. Welcome to the Canton Buildcast, where new connections create new possibilities. This week, meet Hydra X, the first licensed custodian of Canton Coin in APAC, and a firm really pioneering the full gamut of tokenization and asset services across the ecosystem. It's being built now, and connections are being made, so come and find your place on Canton. Let's go.
Hi, I'm Benson Gerald. Thank you for tuning in to another Canton Buildcast. Today we're heading over to Singapore, where we've locked in Mark Tang, VP of Client Solutions at Hydra X, a regulated digital asset custodian and prime broker, which is bringing its compliance and capital markets expertise to the Canton Network. They're bringing custody and tokenization services and even its own structured products recently just announced to the network. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
So Mark, you guys have been working with the buy side, exchanges, digital asset issuers, really for a long time now. For those of you that don't know Hydra X, tell us a bit about your core business and how you're helping institutions access and unlock the value of digital assets.
Yeah, thank you. So we have been around since 2018. So I guess in the world of Web3, that has been a pretty long time. And our thesis as a fintech is really to build capital markets infrastructure that is ready for digital assets. I mean, we firmly believe that tokenization and having assets on the blockchain will be the future of financial markets. However, regulated institutions today face plenty of pain points to get there. And so we set out to build the entire infrastructure, and our focus really is on being regulatory compliant. So we build end-to-end infrastructure. So that includes a tokenization engine, white label exchanges, as well as custody technology. So that's one part of our business at Hydra X. The other part is that of licensed services. So over the past few years, we thought that in order to push and support this vision in the financial markets, that we ourselves too should also be regulated. So we have a full suite of licenses in Singapore and in the region across both securities and digital assets, and that allows us to provide licensed services such as custody.
So you were really fast out of the gates providing regulated custodial services for Canton Coin in APAC, supporting validators like SPI and others, app providers who are earning Canton Coin rewards now as well. Tell us a bit about that offering, how you've seen demand evolve over the last 6 months as well since the launch of Mainnet.
Yes, sure. So we put it simply, we hold these Canton coins on behalf of our customers. We are an exempt custodian, a crypto custodian in Singapore. And so this allows us to perform these tasks for our customers. However, as a licensed provider, we do more than just hold them on behalf of our customers. We do two things. One, we need to adhere to the regulatory requirements, including our customers' own reporting and audit requirements. Secondly, our technology and processes need to be vetted and they need to be robust.
Can you show us any examples of how this looks in reality? How does this translate into real life for your customers now looking to invest in things that you're bringing to the network?
Yes, certainly. So what you see on the screen here is basically our customer portal for customers who are holding Canton Coin with us. So it is really quite straightforward as a dashboard. So there are a few things you can do here. One is you can see your balances at all time. We would adjust this for rewards as it comes in. There are two things. You can deposit and you can withdraw. But today, that function, we would control that for you through the Canton Network user interface separately. You will also be able to, in the future, view all the transactions of your Canton Coin, whether it's receiving rewards or outbound transfers. And you will also be able to whitelist wallets if you wish to withdraw.
So you use digital assets tokenization utility to give you the building blocks and the token standards really out of the box. How does this help you to quickly deliver the the different capabilities needed for your clients to both onboard and invest in your products, as well as starting to bring their own assets to Canton?
Yes, definitely. So the tokenization utility has been a great help and a great tool for anyone who wishes to utilize the network very quickly, be able to test out any use cases and really showcase to stakeholders that this is the right path forward. So we have utilized this utility to tokenize our first ever product, which I can talk in more detail later. But this really allows us to be able to do that very quickly, especially within this period, and be able to earn the app rewards. But not just for us. I think, I was speaking to our partners over at Digital Asset that I've become a bit of a salesperson for Canton Network. Obviously, as an ecosystem builder, anyone who asks us, hey, which blockchain are you working with now? Canton Network would be the first name that I mentioned. And to bring in an external partner onto the network without asking them to build, put in tech resources, establish a validation node, and allowing them to say, hey, just work with Hydra X and we can get you on the network. I think that has been a great help, and a very and it lowers the obstacle for any partners to want to join the net.
Can you show us any examples of how you're helping customers through some of this new software for the network?
Yes, I would love to show that. Hydra X is pretty familiar with how Canton has set up its tokenization UI, and there are two main reasons to it. So first of all, when the tokens are issued, they sit in the issuer's wallet, and this is very similar to how the traditional markets function. And secondly, when I initiate a transfer, that there's a transfer request, and for the recipient to receive it, they also need to approve, which again is very, very similar to what a traditional market settlement would require, so that, on the network, you don't receive anything that you were not supposed to receive. So from the perspective of a licensed and regulated entity, these checks and balances and these processes are very much in line with what we need to do. What we've seen over the last 6 months, since mainnet has gone live, is that, as with the rewards, that's pushing a lot of tokenization activity onto the network. And we have seen more interest in not just our ability to hold Canton coin for these ecosystem partners, but also act as regulated custodian. So that's pretty interesting. And I think that push really came out of the recent pilot that Canton Network did with the 45 institutions globally, and being able to push through a lot of use cases that we at Hydra X are really excited about. And I think one of them is really to have DBP on-chain. How can, for example, a tokenized bond be settled against whether it's tokenized deposit or central bank digital currencies?
One of the things we're seeing, obviously, with the proliferation of different chains, different assets, different services across the crypto ecosystem, is that there is real fragmentation, especially around things like OTC trading, the payments, the risk processes involved. It actually, ironically, becomes quite a lot of manual processes that people have to organize. And obviously you're bringing a lot of these activities under one roof for clients and helping people to access really that end-to-end service on Canton as well. Is this an area that you really help with, bringing that kind of structuring and settlement and post-trade together under one service offering? Am I right in saying that's kind of how you're positioning? And if so, how does that kind of play out with some of the use cases, as you referenced on Canton, and some of the new projects that are happening, especially in the region?
Yes, I think you're right. It is pretty fragmented. So maybe let me just go through the entire life cycle one by one. I think when we speak to a lot of people about tokenization today, they always question whether we are reinventing the wheel, right? Are we creating a token representation of something that's already pretty well established in the capital markets? What they fail to see is what potential tokenization can bring. And unfortunately, I think today a lot of implementations of tokenized assets really stop just at that. However, what Canton Network can bring is solve a lot of this fragmentation because of how the token can be used, right? We talk about collateral mobility. If a money market fund is tokenized on the Canton Network, this can be used as eligible collateral across other exchanges or other venues that are already synchronized to the Canton Network. So I think that's a very big piece. And for us as a regulated custodian, just looking at the other end of the life cycle, holding Canton coin or holding assets that are tokenized on the Canton Network is the first step. I think what we want to become, or hopefully to build on the Canton Network, is a settlement layer where you are able to look to a regulated party as a trusted settlement agent for you to settle trades. And hopefully, where more and more institutions are onboarded onto the network and tokenized deposits, CBDCs are made available, that Hydra X can be this conduit through which all these assets can be settled, via the AVP process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really does lower that barrier to entry, as you say, both to joining the network, but also then to doing interesting things. And obviously you guys have been doing some very interesting things. We had the announcement of the Sigma Value Token a couple of weeks ago. Can you tell us a bit about what that is and how that's bringing some of the innovation we maybe expect more in, crypto derivatives markets, those kinds of plays into the Canton Network, and how that can bring utility to people in the network as well?
Yes. So the Sigma Value Token is our version of a structured product that we at Hydra X have worked with a partner to issue. And this is basically a basis trade wrapped up in a structured product, and then we tokenize it on the Canton Network. And it's very much, I think, for the viewers who are not familiar with the derivative, is that we buy a spot Ethereum, and then we sell Ethereum futures. Typically, the futures trade at a premium to the spot price, and therefore, by holding these two legs of the trade to maturity, we capture the spread that's in between. And so when we package this together into a structured product, it becomes a debt security. And this ties in, dovetails very well with our license, our ability to be able to issue structured products, and furthermore, to also bolster our own capability as a Canton Network ecosystem partner to be able to put that on the network. So why are we putting this on the Canton Network? So my own background is in derivative structuring, and while this token might not become eligible collateral, right, in the future, however, the components of such a product can become. So if we were to wrap Ethereum, for example, on the Canton Network, that will become eligible spot collateral held under this product. And so you get more and more of these wrapped assets on the network that will also benefit from the privacy and the permission features of the Canton Network. And it is our hope that more and more of these assets are able to that we can bring more and more of these assets onto the Canton Network.
Yeah, and you touched on the privacy features there. I think this is critical and something we're really seeing from a collateral perspective at the moment. People maybe very used to using Bitcoin, ETH stables for margin, for initial margin, variation margin through the day in crypto markets. But now really looking, as there's looking for greater confidence, looking to scale up, looking to do, more interesting things with other assets, looking for that privacy capability around some of those collateral postings, so that you really, can start to protect what you're doing from the eyes of onlookers. So is that something you're seeing demand for as well in region? There are, market makers in the region that are on Canton today, people you're talking to as well. Is that a real driver, would you say, for some of the services you're offering too?
It is. I think one of the big draw and use cases of the Canton Network is collateral mobility. And I think, having been from a trading background, that, with all the benefits of blockchain being fast, transparent, that transparency comes at a cost, because it reveals my position. So if, for example, if the BTC price has a huge fall, the counterparties, they are moving collateral into an exchange venue, will be identified as the ones who are on the wrong side of the trade. And that becomes very, very dangerous when you're talking about financial markets at an institutional or at a global level. So I think that's very, very clear to whether it be the OTC partners that we speak to or the institutional global partners that we speak to. This privacy feature is absolutely very, very important. However, I think we must be very clear to differentiate the privacy on Canton Network versus, obscuring ownership, right? I think Canton Network does this very elegantly, that we will be able to fulfill all our regulatory requirements in terms of KYC AML while retaining privacy, to the public.
So Sigma Value Token is now live, and you're credentialing customers and onboarding customers to use that already. How does that work with the utilities from digital asset, to help you to onboard customers? You mentioned KYC and stuff earlier, and how does that then play into the dashboard we saw earlier as well?
Sure. So two parts. So one is onboarding. So some of the investors that we have for Sigma Value Token have already been onboarded. They are our customers. But what we really wanted to do is to create a credential for each of them on the network so that on-chain, they do have an identity. And then we are able to transfer the Sigma Value Token to their credentials. So I think the utility has been extremely helpful for us to set it up very, very quickly. From issuance of the underlying structure note to tokenizing it, we took no more than a few days to get everything set. In terms of custody, each of our investors will also view not just their Canton coin on the platform, in the portal, but also their holdings, Sigma Value Token. And we hope to be able, in the next month or two, add even more asset classes or structured notes or products that our investors will be able to invest, and hopefully we'll see the portfolio screen growing longer.
That would be great to see. I mean, you're really building a full suite of capabilities around the network and using a lot of the latest tooling and showing really the way that people can access the underlying value of the network. So it's really, really great. Now, what is the sweet spot for this convergence of the privacy properties of Canton and then the composability of the assets and applications you're seeing potential for across the network? What do you think customers can expect next? What should people be talking to you about as a regulated custodian, as a prime broker? There's other collateral settlement assets you've referenced before, repo, other things like that. How should people be thinking about how to engage with you guys next to get some of the value out of this technology?
So I think that the best way to start is, if you're watching this and you are looking to tokenize an asset, we would love to talk to you, because if that asset can become eligible collateral, right, or it can be used in a repo transaction to unlock liquidity, I think that's something that is the next step for us to deepen this relationship with Canton Network. I think for example, I think in the region we have been working together to try and help institutions tokenize bonds. And I think, well-recognized issuer names, investment grade credit will be great examples of tokenized assets that can become eligible collateral on the network. I think that opens up a huge variety of use cases and ecosystem partners that we can bring on. And I think that would really, be a huge step towards us also achieving what we set out to do.
Really important question is, how should people get in touch with you, Mark? Because we want people to find you really easily and start having the conversations. What's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, the best way to get in touch, you can find us on LinkedIn. You will be able to access our website through LinkedIn as well. And there will be a contact form that you can fill in your details, and you'll reach one of us. And we will, respond to you very quickly, and happy to jump on a call to go in deeper to what we can help you with.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for taking some time with us, Mark, today. I think really just the green shoots of some really exciting work going on Canton, and you're really leading the way and showing people how to take advantage of all the tooling and some of the new on-ramps into the network. So congratulations. Looking forward to seeing what's coming next, and we'll talk to you again, no doubt.
Thank you, Ben. This has been a pleasure. Thank you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Canton Buildcast. Want to dive deeper? Check out the links below to learn more, connect to apps, or bring your assets and use cases to Canton. And don't forget to hit subscribe to stay on top of the latest apps and opportunities shaping institutional grade on-chain finance. Bye for now.